The Eastern Cape Liquor Board has praised police following the arrest of the owner of eNCA Tavern in Scenery Park, East London, as well as two of the employees. They are accused of serving alcohol to underage persons. 21 teenagers died at the venue on the 26th of June. The youngest was 13 years old. Let's discuss this further and get some reaction now from the Eastern Cape Liquor Board. I'm joined by Dr. Mgwebu Msia. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you very much for your time. I understand you had laid the charges after the tragedy of eNCA Tavern against the owners in terms of their license conditions. What's your reaction now to the news that there has been an arrest?
Thank you, Jen, and the viewers. We are very delighted by the recent developments of the arrest of the eNCA Tavern owner and the two employees. And we're happy that our action of laying a criminal charge against the owner of the liquor, of the eNCA Tavern, is bearing fruits now. We are greatly excited and are really looking forward to the prosecution of the accused.
What kind of charges, can you tell us, our viewers, as the board, what were the charges specifically that you laid?
The charges that we laid against the tavern owner is selling alcohol to the minors, selling alcohol to people under the age of 18. That is in contravention of the Eastern Cape Liquor Act. So that is why we then had to lay a criminal charge against the tavern owner.
So the case now is pending, of course, appearance in court. Will you be opposing bail when it does begin?
Look, then we've been made aware by SAPS that they were arrested and served with summons, which means they are not necessarily in prison at the moment. So what we're looking forward to is the date of their appearance, in court. Otherwise, they are not necessarily in prison right now for them to be seeking bail. So they are waiting for them to appear before the magistrate on the 19th. And that is the day that we're looking forward to. And we really hope, then, I think I must emphasize this, we really hope that they are going to get a tougher sentence, because we are very, very frustrated and devastated by what the owner of that liquor outlet did, allowing young children into the establishment, something that they knew that it is not allowed by law. In fact, one of their liquor trading conditions is that they must not serve alcohol to the underage, let alone allowing them into the establishment. So we are very, very angry with this liquor trader, and we hope the law is going to take its course to ensure that they receive tougher sentence.
Okay, did I understand you correctly? They're going to appear in court on the 19th, of July. That's next week, Tuesday?
No, on the 19th of August, then.
Okay.
That's when they will be appearing in court, yes.
Okay, 19th of August. In the meantime, what is your view as a board, and what are you doing about the complaints that came out from many of the community members, especially the youth in and around East London, just that broad Buffalo City municipality, saying that there's a tavern in every other street and they don't think they're being inspected correctly? You could find a similar circumstance happening elsewhere in the Eastern Cape, where young underage children are served alcohol or allowed into the premises of taverns.
Look, then, we understand the concern by the communities about the proliferation of the liquor outlets in our communities. And it's really a concern to everyone. However, we're happy to report then that we have reviewed our legislation in the Eastern Cape Liquor Board, which we're hoping to implement in a few months' time. And in terms of the reviewed legislation, Eastern Cape Liquor Act, the issue of granting liquor licenses in residential areas is going to be history. We're no longer going to do that. We're going to ensure that licenses are issued only in business zoned areas, not in residential areas. Again, one other important development in terms of the review of our Act then is that there is going to be now a distance between the two liquor outlets, a distance of 1 meter, So which means now we will drastically reduce the concentration of liquor outlets in our residential areas. But more importantly, that going forward, we will only issue liquor licenses in zoned areas. So we're doing everything in our power then to ensure that this doesn't occur again in our province, but also strengthening our legislation to ensure that all the gaps that we have identified through the eNyobeni incident, but also through other complaints and cases that we have dealt with as Eastern Cape Liquor Board. So we're hoping that going forward, these issues are going to be properly dealt with. They are going to be properly managed. The issue of a very concerning issue to us, I must say, the issue of liquor outlets that admit minors into their establishment. We hate that, and we're working around the clock as the Eastern Cape Liquor Board in collaboration with other stakeholders such as the law enforcement agencies, the South African police, etc., to clamp down the tendency of liquor outlets that sell alcohol to the underage. We're also galvanizing the support of the community then, where we're saying to the community members, please report these cases whenever you identify them in your respective areas, because we cannot be everywhere as the Eastern Cape Liquor Board, as the law enforcement agencies. Communities can assist us in identifying these places that sell alcohol to the underage, that sell beyond the regulated times, that sell alcohol without a valid liquor license. So we are urging communities from time to time to say, please report to us as the Eastern Cape Liquor Board so that we can take necessary actions.
Okay, you mentioned a number of measures you're going to take. I just want to zoom in on one. If and when you find in the near future a tavern that's been reported to you as a liquor board, there's evidence that they are serving alcohol to underage persons, will you revoke their license immediately?
Yes, the intention of whenever this kind of transgression occurs, the ultimate consequence of that then is the revocation of a liquor license. However, our legislation requires us to go through some processes before we can get to that stage of revocation, which is always important that we must mention to our stakeholders and the viewers that before we revoke a liquor license, the same case with eNyobeni. The eNyobeni license has not yet been revoked. However, what we have done in terms of our legislation is to suspend operations. In other words, temporarily suspend that liquor license so that we can undertake investigations. Now, based on the outcomes of the investigations, we will then make a determination as to what needs to happen going forward. But the ultimate end of our intervention really is to revoke the liquor license. We have done that here in the province, then where we have revoked some liquor licenses because their owners had been non-compliant, and we have taken all the necessary steps to actually ensure that they rectify those mistakes. But in instances where they fail, to do that, the last step that we have, the last recourse that we have at the Eastern Cape Liquor Board is to revoke a liquor license. So essentially, that is what we're going to do if you fail to adhere to the trading conditions.
Okay, how would you respond to this next question, Dr. Msia? What do you call them? Unexpected surprise raids in taverns to check what's happening there. So the police can find for themselves young people there, if there are any, for example, or some other violation of their liquor license. How would you respond to the question that would you welcome impromptu raids, so to speak, or sting operations in the Eastern Cape, in the taverns?
Then it is a pity that we had the incident. Because part of our program as the Eastern Cape Liquor Board is exactly to do that, is to conduct these, we call them police operations, in other words, making unannounced visits to these liquor outlets. That is part of what we do on day-to-day basis. We conduct these operations in collaboration with SAPS and the other law enforcement agencies. That is what we do every day, every week. That is why often we will report that we have confiscated, so much amount of alcohol, of liquor through the raids and taken so many people for prosecution. So that is basically what we do, and that is what we will continue to do going forward. And in fact, we are intensifying it. We have had meetings with Buffalo City Municipality where we have agreed to work together, particularly around Buffalo City Municipality, to ensure that we drive these operations, we visit these liquor outlets during the night without any notice to them, so that we can clamp down on these tendencies of flouting the trading conditions.
Okay, thank you for your time this afternoon on Today here on eNCA. Dr. Mgwebu Msiya, speaking on behalf of the Eastern Cape Liquor Board.